Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sergio. I'm a firefighter here with the city of Biloxi, and today I'll be teaching y'all how to make homemade street tacos with my brother Austin and my brother Houston right here. Cool. Alrighty. So to begin, we're gonna just start with we're gonna slow cook these chicken thighs. So we're gonna start off with first ingredient: 1 cup of chicken broth. Half a can of crushed tomatoes. About a teaspoon of minced garlic. Thank you, sir. Alrighty. And this is my Fairy Taco seasoning, Siete, mild, and we're gonna go ahead and it's 1 pack per every pound. So we're cooking about 3 pounds, but we're gonna just add 2 today, since we're adding additional seasonings to this mix. Thank you, sir. And we'll just mix these in. We're going to add some soy sauce, and it's important to remember that the soy sauce has sodium in it, so it's another reason I don't like to add a lot of salt to this recipe right here. And now this is a sweet chicken recipe, so we're going to add some honey. And all the ingredients and measurements will be in the description of the video, but feel free to add as much as you'd like. And once this is well mixed and all the seasoning is broken down, we're going to go ahead and start letting this warm up. Alrighty. Houston, if you would be so kind and just put it on medium heat for me up here. Alrighty. So while we have this mixture warming up, we'll go ahead and season our chicken. And I have skinless, boneless thighs here ready for us. So the taco seasoning, the reason I like to use it is because it has a lot of the main ingredients you're going to need for cooking this. But I always like to add a couple things that you won't find in that mix. A little bit of brown sugar, paprika, cayenne pepper, ground ginger, and a little bit of adobo. A little bit of adobo right here. So I'll use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to bind everything together. And I'm basically just gonna simply mix this together like so. And then I'm gonna add my seasonings. And I just make sure it's well mixed. An important note as well is when I open my chicken out of the pack, I make sure I dry it all up before seasoning and adding my extra virgin olive oil as the binder. Alrighty. We got it mixed. And we just simply put it in our pot. Like so. I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. And once it's reached that temperature, I'm going to let it sit in here for the next approximately 6 hours. or until the chicken thighs begin to pull apart easily. Cool. Next, we're going to go ahead and make some homemade guacamole.
So we're making homemade guacamole. We already got our avocados cut up into halves and remove the seeds. I personally like to mash it up first, that way I'm not ruining the vegetables. Once it's mashed up, we add about a half cup of onions, half a cup of tomatoes, and a quarter cup of cilantro. Once that's done, we mix it a little bit. And add 2 whole limes. Guacamole's done.
We're going to go ahead and put the guacamole in the fridge to chill, and we're going to have Austin make our pico de gallo, mango pico de gallo.
Hey, I'm going to be making mango pico de gallo. We're going to start off with a half cup of red onions, a half cup of diced tomato. You're only going to need a quarter cup of cilantro. Half a cup of diced seeded jalapenos. And then 1 can of mangoes. Now you're going to salt and pepper to taste. And then finally you're going to add 2 fresh squeezed limes.
Here's your cutting board.
And that is how you make mango pico de gallo.
Alrighty, we'll put this to chill in the fridge as well. So the next step on this recipe is making the tortillas from scratch. So I use this corn flour right here. It's my favorite brand, Maseca. It's real easy to find almost anywhere in any grocery store or corner store. The ratios are written in the back, and I'm making as much as I can for our crew. So in this bowl I have 6 cups of corn flour, and I'll just salt it a little bit, or when I say a little bit, I say a good bit. Salt it, and then with my hand, I'm just going to mix it all in. Then it takes about 4.5 cups of water for the 6 cups of Maseca, but I always tend to pour a good bit at a time. And the reason being is it's always best to make sure you don't make the consistency kind of wonky, because then it's just harder to cook and fry and flatten out. So I'll just simply begin to, as you can see, mix and mix and mix, and eventually you're going to start getting a consistency almost similar to, very close to almost like a Play-Doh type of consistency. It's not too sticky where it's sticking to your hands, but it's not very dry or nothing like that. So, and I'll just continue to work it and fold it. adding water as I go. I'll give you one tip. I always try to keep one hand dry while making this right here. One hand clean. See, now we're starting to get a shape here where it's all kind of starting to stick together instead of crumble apart. Now the good thing about this is if you do end up putting too much water, you could always add just a little bit more corn flour, so it just takes some time. And as you can tell from watching the video, when I started, my hand was completely covered, and now that it's starting to take the form it needs to, a lot of it is starting to stick to it, and that's a real good sign that you're pretty much where you want to be. So after making it, you have the option to put a couple, or like a wet towel or a couple wet napkins on top and let it dehydrate a little bit longer in the fridge, but that's not necessary. Often I just, once I've reached the desired form, I'll just go ahead and me and the crew will start breaking it apart, rolling it up into equal sizes. This is what you want it to look like. Alrighty, gentlemen. This is the fun part where we all get to hang out and roll this up. So what I've learned when we're making a lot of tortillas, setting up a station to be able to lay them all out as we're mashing them, and having a big cast iron to be able to fry them up, having two, it makes a big difference. If you're doing just one at a time, it'll take a very long time. We're trying to make as close to 30 as possible. So we'll have a station here. I'll lay as many as possible as I can out, and these two gentlemen will continue to just fry them up. The only tools you really need is a hot skillet. The tortilla press that you see here is not necessary. You can use anything. I've used a book, a cast iron, a pan, anything to push them down. There's different ways that different techniques people use when pressing them. I find that using a parchment paper has been the best. They don't stick or anything like that. And of course I got my warmer right here to keep all my tortillas warm. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start just rolling up the corn flour, the mold, into equal balls. And you see Austin there, he simply just puts it on that press and puts as much pressure as he can to flatten it out. And it's as simple as that. There it is. Simple as that. And of course, goes without saying, all these are handmade, so nothing has to be perfect. We just kind of eyeball everything, and you know, each one is going to have its own thickness, its own size, and so there's no need to be real meticulous about every single one. We're cooking it on a low temperature. We're just keeping the cast iron hot, and we're just almost lightly frying it, just keeping an eye out. Just making sure that it turns to a nice brown color. So these tortillas, you could buy tortillas anywhere, but the reason I like making them by hand is a few reasons. One is it's cheaper. You'll be able to get a whole lot more out of that bag. Secondly, I feel they taste better. There's just a lot more flavor to them. And third, you know, it's fun to make with your friends or with your family. It's a group activity, and I think that's special in its own way too. This meal right here, it's one of our favorite meals. It's something I've been making for here in the fire department for a little while now, and I've just only gotten better at it, and it's pretty cost efficient too. So that it's always a plus. But it's fun because you can, you know, they're tacos. You can do it any kind of way. Like today we're making the sweet chicken thighs, but you can do it with fish. You can do it with steak, and you can build your taco however you like. You know, we're using guacamole and pico today, but I've also made it in the past with Spanish rice and refried beans, jalapenos, the whole nine. So you can customize your tacos however you like, and I think, you know, it doesn't make it boring. It's not like you're eating the same thing every single time. I got a warmer right here. It's from the Dominican Republic, actually. Got it in 2016. We'll put it in here, and as we're getting through it, we'll just keep it sealed and keep them warm and soft. So, ladies and gentlemen, this right here, taco holders, highly recommend them. Very affordable on Amazon, and it's the best way to plate your tacos and fill your tacos, the whole 9 yards. If you're doing it the old-fashioned way, you're missing out right here. Approximately 6 hours later, this is what we got left with. We've shredded it up already. It's slowly been cooking. Ready to serve. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, so we're just going to go ahead and start building our tacos. So we're just going to get our tortillas. You'll see why this is a good investment right here. Place them like so. You'll get some of your chicken. Keep these warm in there. Get some guacamole. Spread it like so. And some of our mango pico. Get plenty of everything. And once we got this done, everything else is optional. You can add cheese. My personal favorite is one called queso fresco. It's a salty, crumbly Mexican cheese that tastes great with this right here. You can add your sour cream, pickled jalapenos, hot sauce, anything else you like. But that's pretty much it. It's something I've been making for a while, and I've been just slowly perfecting. We have a blast making it together, and as you can tell, these guys have been making these with me for a while. We pretty much got a whole system set up. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, so here you have it. This is your sweet chicken thigh with homemade guacamole, homemade tortillas, and homemade mango pico. Very proud of this dish. We've been making it for a while in different variations. Super easy to make, very affordable. And as you can tell, these guys, they got it down with me. We make it all the time. So I hope you all enjoy. I'm going to teach y'all how to make some Cuban espresso. It's something I've been drinking since I was real young. I'm originally from Miami, Florida, so I just grew up around it within the Cuban community. And I was able to introduce it up here in Biloxi when I joined, and it caught like fire. Who would have thought that firemen like coffee? So teach you this right here. This is our it's called an Italian stovetop espresso maker. You can find it on Amazon. Take that apart. It has this little strainer right here, and we're just gonna fill it up with water up until it's right underneath this little percolator right there. So once we're done with that, put that strainer back on. And then this is the coffee I typically use is Café Bustelo. You could find it anywhere in any town, any grocery store, any corner store. It's a very, very popular one. But there's different brands that are just as good. It's just my personal favorite one. And we're simply just going to fill this strainer up with coffee all the way to the top. Pressing down as we go. Making a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. Now we flattened it out. And we're just gonna close this back up. And then I got some brown sugar. You could put as much as you like, but I like to put a lot because there's a consistency you're looking for, which I'm gonna teach you. Creates a foam on top of the coffee and adds a lot of flavor to it. Alrighty, so the next step is we're going to put it on the burner and we're going to slowly let it brew. So now the coffee's starting to brew and come up. At this point I just lower the heat a little bit, and that first bit of coffee that starts to come up, all I'm going to do is simply, I got my sugar mixed in here. I'm just going to add a little bit to it. Just a little bit of start. I am just going to simply whip the sugar and that coffee together. And I'm just going to continue to do so. And add a little bit more coffee if I need to. But just continue to do so until it starts to turn into a paste. Which is starting to do now. As you can see, it's starting to turn kind of like that. It needs a little bit more coffee. You want a lighter brown color with it. Go. Add a little more sugar. You want it to look as close to peanut butter as possible. That's usually the way I've always was taught on what consistency you want. So you just continue to mix, and there you go. So now you have this right here. That's exactly what you want. So once you've made that, check your coffee. Coffee's almost done. Get the heat off. And you just pour it right on top. And you'll notice that you got that brown foam right on top. And that's where a lot of your flavor is going to be. And that's your Cuban espresso. Go ahead and I'll stir the last bit of coffee that's in here, sugar that's at the bottom of this coffee. And I just pour it right in there. And there you have it. Cuban espresso. So that's it for Biloxi Cooks. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I was able to teach you all something new.